Hey folks, we are back. Sorry about the minor delay, but we're all good to go now. It looks like Melody has kitted up, which is awesome. I'm all about this. I'm really sad I didn't kit up.
Next time.
Yeah, next time.
You'll have time to prepare.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, so I guess we will just get back into the thick of it. We're halfway through our stream tonight, but we should be fine to finish session 0, I think, before the end of this. We got through the tough stuff at the beginning. Now things should just roll. So we have steps 1 to 3 done of character creation for everyone, and we have step 1 done of crew creation. So next we need to figure out our reputation and lair. So I think part of this is going to be figuring out how you all know each other, right? Because you're a little bit of an eclectic bunch, but you know what RPG group isn't, and yeah. So let's open up your Hawker sheet. So the initial reputations down on our crew creation summary. We can choose from ambitious, brutal, daring, honourable, professional, savvy, subtle, or strange. You can also step outside the edges of that, like if something really pops out to you that you want to go for, like idealistic, or I mean, brutal's there, but you could go unnecessarily brutal if you wanted to, right? That kind of thing. Although I'm feeling like a lot more academic and but academic and scrappy, I don't know. You folks take it away.
Political.
Yeah.
Politically minded.
Yeah, politically minded, that kind of thing.
Because that's the thing, a lot of other gangs aren't. Like, if you just go up to the lampblacks, they're just there to make money because they can't light lamps anymore.
Yeah, right. You actually have an ideology that you're...
What about, like, subversive?
Okay.
Because that kind of, like, covers that, but is a bit more, I think, is a bit more, like, in terms of what we do, and, like, how we do it, which is, like, what limitations are.
Okay. Okay, do people like that?
Kind of like that.
Yeah? Is subversive the right word, or is there is that a good staging point? I think that it's that's a really good way to put it, and I like the idea of the crew being subversive. It's definitely one of those it's definitely one of those adjectives that will piss everyone off, which is great for me, right? You know, that's perfect fodder.
It's more fun that way.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm cool with it.
Subversive?
Yeah, it worked.
Okay. All right, I'll pop it in. So, so that also might inform, because like what we've got to think about whilst we're doing this is that part of the premise is that there was a falling out, right? So, for some reason, your initial group was bigger, and now it is much smaller. Now it is.
Are we the splitters?
Yeah, good question. Are you the splitters? Are you so subversive that you subverted the already radical idea, right?
And I mean, I guess the answer to this question comes down to that idea of inter-community conflict, which is it that we did something that other people didn't like and they left us, or did the rest of that community do something that we didn't like so we left?
Yeah.
Good question. Good question.
Because then we'd need to know what that is, I think.
Definitely not. Yeah.
I have a thought, but also like it's just one way to go with it, which is that like maybe the original group that included us and whoever these other people are was a bit more like kind of reformist, and we are like more hardline, or were more hardline, and kind of like pushing people to take like, you know, take matters into their own hands, that kind of thing. Whereas like maybe this group originally was more like, you know, we'll work through like the institutions that are in place and like convince people, and we were kind of a bit less patient or something more as like.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can see.
And maybe that got us kicked out or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would definitely work into the subversive thing for sure.
Yeah.
Are
Yeah.
folks keen
We're
on
just
that?
like, this is enough. This isn't working for us.
Yeah. I mean, it would give a very distinct flavor to the two newspapers, definitely, right? Like, if theirs is... Oh, actually, that's really good, because theirs is theoretically working within the law.
Yeah.
Like, they're...
So, like, we are essentially at a disadvantage because we have to sell, like, getting down and dirty in the streets to people who just want to live their lives very peacefully.
And maybe like maybe this other group is actually higher tier than us as well.
Yeah,
like,
I'm starting
because
to
they've
think...
got that level of institutional backing that we don't.
I'm starting to think that they might be, and like, we don't have to go with this, but I'm starting to think that they might be the ink rates. That,
okay.
That they're an actual like established institution in Duskwall that has decided to go a little bit more like maybe let's like branch out and become a little bit more radical. The war is over, so you know we're not going to be locked up straight away as being, you know, like insurgents, so we can be you know, a little bit more controversial. But you folks are like, no, we want to be insurgents, right? Like we that's our shtick. We want to incite rebellion.
We are not centrists. We
exactly
want
right.
to do the real thing.
Yeah.
And the ink rakes have this nice, really like highbrow. We are academics, and they're the middle class, upper class playing at communism, right? Like saying, you know, let's rebel without actually thinking about the reality of that and the human cost of that, and you know.
Yeah, and I mean, like, in terms of like real world history, that's like one of the big kind of like struggles in these kind of communities, like back at the turn of the century or whatever, is like between the social democrat kind of side who are like, no, like things, the revolution will just happen when it's ready to happen, like, and the other side it's like, no, we need to be like kind of pushing for things to happen, and like taking action.
I would really love to embody our relationship with the ink rakes as being like very personal and having these like relationships that are still happening with people who manage the ink rakes. And we were like working for them for a while. We were going to write one of their papers, but they just like crushed us in their own internal system.
And
cool. Just like they just keep telling us, no, don't do this story, don't do this story.
Yeah,
they proclaim to be about one thing and then they don't do it, and
we demand editorial independence.
So are you still among them? Is that how you're feeling, that you're still a part of that faction, but like but a radical offshoot, or are
there's a question, there's a part of crew creation later where I think this is the answer to that question. Because we have our own hunting grounds, and they could just be the people who hold our hunting grounds.
Yeah, and my feeling is like, even if we're not like a part of that, we're still entangled with that faction in the sense of like our former or current colleagues and like friends, and like probably part of that faction. We still have those like personal connections to it.
Okay. I'm like, I know this sounds a bit. No, you know what? It's Blades in the Dark. It's fine. I'm excited to see how this really, like, degrades and turns messy, right? Like, because this is an ideological difference which is, like, pretty extreme. You know, like, because theirs is a very performative. I saw in chat liberalism versus revolutionaries, and like. Yeah, I'm feeling that, right? Like, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I think it's like, because I feel like, if assuming there's two factions on newspapers, one of them has to be like more radical and one less radical, like for it to be like interesting. And I feel like it's more interesting for us to be the ones that are more radical and be the underdogs rather than being the like.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm all about that. Yeah. Okay, that sounds great to me. Subversive is perfect then.
Hell yeah.
There's so much dramatic fuel. I can't wait for us to ask the question.
Oh yeah.
I can't wait for those relationships with those other guys to just kind of crumble as things start to get like more intense and heated. Like that's like really stress tension.
It's gonna be a mess.
That to go on. I'm so excited for that.
So I guess now we have to figure out where the lair is. We know we're in. We know we are inside Coleridge. Well, I mean that's what we were thinking. Are we still there? Like we don't have to be. That could just be like where we're planning on targeting. Maybe. You know, you could be outsiders of Coleridge. Some of you could be insiders of Coleridge because we've got some Skovs here, and this is a very Skov heavy district. What are we thinking?
So in terms of this question, if I remember correctly, is it like there's hunting grounds and then there's like turf, and are those like different things or like like so? Because do we necessarily live where we do our stuff and that kind of is that like kind of what this question's about?
You don't have to. I mean, as hawkers, you want to be close at least to where you're distributing, but so hawkers have a sales territory, right? Instead of hunting grounds. So this is where you're selling your product. So your sales territory could be different from where your lair is. I mean, your lair should be pretty hidden because you know you don't just want anyone doing raids on your newspaper, right? But you know, you could have a lair in Coleridge. I'll throw up some Coleridge aesthetics for you folks, yeah. So we could be dealing with that sort of situation, or you could be complete, you know, outsiders, and you just come here to sell because there's an impressionable audience here, or because you actually.
Or maybe we got like pushed out of wherever we were.
Exactly right. So you should be able to see on the stream. This is what Coleridge looks like. Like this is its deal. We're dealing with like the really heavy industrial area of Duskwall. This is where the like old coal mines are, the big like steel plants. This is where the old like train carriage yards are, where they're actually like building the big trains that supply the entire empire with the Leviathan blood, which is brought in and processed in Skovlan. So, you know, we're dealing with like heavy industry, which means that, you know, we've got tightly built like brick row houses. We've got you know, steam stacks everywhere. We've got you know, like if you folks have seen Peaky Blinders, like I'm imagining like the main street that they're on with just that like weird like factory door on the side where there's just fire.
Where there's always fire
Yeah,
coming out, like
there's just
all the
fire,
time.
and everyone's like, "Yeah, there's fire on this street," right? Like that sort of thing's going on, right? So
I guess I need to watch Peaky Blinders
oh,
though.
you do.
Yes.
It's
That
so good.
sounds that sounds wild.
And they are
One thing-
hawkers actually in Peaky Blinders,
Yeah.
so it'll be very relevant. But you were saying so.
One thing I think that might help us figure something out is like just in terms of logistics, like if assuming we print stuff ourselves, we need somewhere for a printing press, which means we need space, and like that could easily be Coleridge, like if we have an old warehouse or like factory or something that we have like maybe either we're squatting in it or like maybe one of our cashed up friends such as the rich academic is like renting it legitimately. Or I mean that could also be in night market possibly, because if a lot of your characters cashed up enough, like maybe we have like a place, a legitimate like front of some description, whether that's like just a shipping, traders like trying to think warehouse or something in night market.
Yeah, that's totally possible, right? Night market's just across the bridge from Coleridge.
And that would be a great place to get news. Like we sell the news and like our newspaper and stuff in Coleridge, but like we need to have our fingers on the pulse, and like we need to know what's happening around us all the time. Night market would be really good at that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
Okay.
So I think a big question I want to ask right now is, since we're hawkers, our layer is secure. Does that mean we are still using the ink rakes printing presses? And they're secure because they're being protected by the ink rakes and it's serving their own interests? Or have we separated from them and we're no longer allowed to use that?
I feel like the fact that if we do go with the ink rakes presses, I think there's, in theory, they could take that away from us at any time, which I feel like that kind of counteracts it being secure. If like it needs to be something that we have control over for it to be like secure. Maybe we stole one of their printing presses when we went Lobby Road, though.
Yeah.
I like stealing their printing presses. I don't know how that's going to go with their relationships if they know that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I like about stealing a printing press is that it kind of implies that you folks may not yet know how to fix it and stuff like that. Like it's not really yours, right? So so like I can see that
we can't really maintain it.
Yeah, and I can see that this being a good in for you, Melody, having to take those sorts of leech things, being like, well, the printing press is broken, we've got to fix this, and you just sort of like flying at the seat of your pants sort of thing.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. So in this layer, so we're thinking you have your own private printing press, so secure printing press, stolen. Stolen from ink rakes. And I mean, they don't necessarily know that you've stolen it yet, right? Which also kind of comes up to, if they don't know that you've stolen it, where do they think it is? And what do they think that it's doing?
This.
Right? Like,
I love it.
Now, the thing is, have we outright stolen it from them, or did we con them out of it?
Good question.
Because how are we going to arrange transportation for that printing press to move it elsewhere?
Yeah, I mean, maybe like we only have parts of one. Like maybe we like over time we just grabbed all the parts that were being discarded or something, and we have like a part of the mechanism, but not the whole thing.
Or did we just get a really awful one from them? Did we just get their worst one that they didn't have any use for anymore?
Oh, right. Like,
It was just, like,
that's what I was actually thinking.
Yeah, did
One
we just
that's-
one that's kind of a bit run down and like it was no longer like working all the time and
It doesn't
it's
even
like, yeah, let's
run
have
on
that one. They're not gonna
electric
care if we take that one.
Mm.
Yeah, in 6 months' time, someone will be like, "Hey, where's that old printing press?
Yeah,
We
yeah.
need to use it now." And
Yeah.
Okay.
and everyone will be
Someone-
like, "I thought it was in the other room."
But then someone can be just all like, yeah, I'm glad that thing's gone. It never really worked properly anyway.
Okay.
I actually
glad that
kind of
burden's
like
off our shoulders.
the idea that it was never working, but just the principle that we stole it from them is what gets them upset. So like we're in an abandoned warehouse or something, and the only way we could get the conveyor belt to work is if we set up a hamster wheel on the left-hand side and just run. But they're looking for it just because they want to shut us down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you folks keen on this? I
Yeah.
certainly am. Like,
I like all those elements.
And I mean, I like the suggestions from chat about like. Sounds good.
sorry, what was that? What part of? I didn't get the last bit. You were fragmenting out a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, I think we're all just agreeing, yeah, and saying it sounds good.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Awesome. All right. So abandoned warehouse, crappy printing press, stolen from the ink rakes. And they don't necessarily know about it yet. I'll just make note of that. Ink rakes don't.
Maybe it's taken them like indefinite amount of time to know about it because it was old and nobody used it anyway.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And as you were saying, Brandon, like it was broken, right? Like they didn't want to use it, right? So they didn't give a shit about it. They only give a shit about it in terms of that you have it, right? Which
we specifically took it from.
which
Also, I like chat's suggestion that maybe this is our first score. Something is getting the press or getting the parts that we need to actually make it work. Or something.
I'm feeling that because I'm getting the impression that like this schism is like campaign starts, right? Like we begin with this resolution from the four of you being like, oh, okay, no, they're not gonna. They're liberals, right? Like, they're not gonna do what needs to be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're gonna work for us. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So.
Like I imagine Brandon's character is still like counting the members of the ink rakes that are like flippable. Like we're still at that stage.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. That's a great
No, I
idea
actually
for an
like
early
that.
score. Yeah. Sweet. All right. I'm keen on that.
And I mean, this works so perfectly with the Hawkers thing of fighting for territory and stuff as well. Like, this like works like mechanically and narratively.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So and that is in Coleridge, right? So your warehouse is going to be in Coleridge. All right. So next step, we've got to establish your hunting grounds. We've already done that. Which is in Coleridge. So that's what's it referred to as instead? It's your sales territory.
Cool.
So is that actually listed on the sheet somewhere? Sales territory.
Yeah, sales. It's under the layer stuff.
Yeah, okay, so what's the difference? Okay, so sales territory. Choose a favored operation type to go along with it. So our four options are sale, a significant transaction with a special buyer of illicit product. Supply, a transaction to acquire a new product or establish a new supplier. A show of force, make an example of an enemy to dominate territory. Or socialize, improve customer and or supplier relations with a social event. What do you think?
Is this something that can change over time, or is it like a thing?
It's kind of like it's kind of like a guiding principle, right? Like it can change over time, and it probably will change over time, and it can grow as well. But this is like out of the gate. How are we going to operate ourselves?
Okay.
Also, it gives us a mechanical advantage.
Yeah.
When we do scores in this thing,
Yeah.
we get an extra downtime action, and I think bonuses on gathering information when we do scores within our sphere.
I think so. Yeah. You can also like a couple of your. I think there are some hawker claims that are specific to your sales type that change depending on it. Just looking over here. Maybe that was an old version of.
+2 coin for show of force or socialize in local graft.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, my first thought is like socialize, because like at the end of the day, we're not like trying to make money. That's what we do. That's our strategy. But like, we want to actually kind of win hearts and minds, right?
Okay. Is
First
everyone
and
keen on
foremost
it?
is that.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense to me. So if everyone's up for that, I'll mark down socialize.
Absolutely.
Cool. All right, so we've got our hunting grounds. What's the next step in character creation? It is action dots. Okay, I think we should keep going with crew for now.
Sure.
Okay, so part of hunting grounds is we need to figure out who already owns this place. So yeah, like I don't have any specific crew in mind who, like any faction in mind who is currently dominating this place. I feel like even though you've got this relationship with the Ink Rakes, that we should avoid them here, right? Like, the reason you're not doing this action elsewhere, I mean, for starters, Coleridge is a hotbed of rebellion. It's a perfect place for you to find revolutionaries. But at the same point in time, the Ink Rakes aren't sniffing around here specifically because, they're middle upper class. They're agitating to middle upper class people, right? Like,
Yeah.
they're doing that performative bullshit of like, look at the harsh circumstances that the people in Coleridge are living under. Poor them. Let's do some kind of bullshit policy change to make things better for them, right?
Would it be like whoever the kind of factory owners are? Because I mean, my two thoughts are like some kind of workers-oriented group, or like a group that is basically the factory owners.
Yeah, could be. So let's have a look at the list of factions. So I've got the faction sheet up on stream. You should be able to see that, or you can open it up from the journal in Roll20 just under the crew section. And where is the list of factions in the book?
I'm on 282.
282?
I've got the factions up in the player's kit.
Yeah, here we go. So who makes sense to be involved here? We could be dealing with. I mean, the Bluecoats are currently undergoing some police action in this area. There is a strong Bluecoats presence here, but Coleridge only has 1 point in security. So, like, whilst there's a strong Bluecoats presence, that doesn't necessarily mean that the place is safe. They're doing as much crime as everyone else. Probably more crime, actually. Like, realistically, they're probably heavy involved in extortion out here, and they would be busting the union movements that are starting to brew. We also out here we've got maybe members of the Foundation, the powerful ancient order of architects and builders. Many of their enemies have disappeared behind the brick and mortar of Doskvol. They, like, the people who are running that may not be too keen in your actions. Who else we've got?
I mean, there could be like Skovlan refugees. I think is one of the factions.
Yeah, Skovlan refugees, desperate survivors of the Unity War, forced to criminal opportunities when denied all others. And I mean, that could be an interesting thing of like a Skovlander group actively resisting your attempts to like whip them back up into rebellion for whatever reason. Another one on that same sort of tack is Ulf Ironborn, who is a brutal Skovlander, newly arrived in Doskvol, fighting everyone for turf. He's a pretty weak, he's a one-person faction kind of thing. So, but he does have tier 1, so you know he could be an interesting first level, enemy that you've got to get over.
Yeah, like it could be like we're selling newspapers day 1, and he shows up and he's like, "Hey, I live down the street." Well,
yeah, exactly, right. Like, because this is not necessarily your enemy. This is the person who owns the turf, right? So this is who you're paying for the privilege of selling your papers here, right?
Okay, right.
Also, the Lost.
The Lost. Yeah, okay. So, The Lost, a group of street toughs and ex-soldiers dedicated to protecting the downtrodden and the hopeless.
Yeah.
And they're
That's
specifically in Coleridge.
I can see us having
That's where
like
they operate.
I can see us having some kind of like connection to them, like they're like suffering us or something, or even encouraging us at the moment because it serves their objectives.
Okay. Is everyone
Yeah,
keen on The Lost?
Yeah, I kind of like that.
Cool. All right.
Cool.
The Lost own the turf, and we're not yet certain of your relationship. And we might find that out in a sec. The next stage here is to choose your crew's special ability. So you should be able to see on the crew sheet. We've got a bunch here. Do folks want to do the normal read through top to bottom? So
start with me?
Yeah, let's start with you.
Yeah, so we're looking at the special abilities, yeah?
Yes, special abilities on the Hawker sheet.
So the first one there is Silver Tongues. Each player character may add 1+ action rating to command, consort, or sway, up to a max rating of 3.
Okay. You're up, Brandon.
Accord. Sometimes friends are as good as territory. You may count up to 3 + 3 faction statuses you hold as if they are turf.
Okay, so that's definitely a good one if you want to be like friends with lots of people. You're subversive though, so you've got to wonder how well that's going to go down. So next up, Lavender.
The good stuff. Your merchandise is exquisite. The product quality is equal to your tier +2, which is really good. When you deal with a crew or faction, the GM will tell you how many among them are hooked on your product. 1, a few, many, or all.
That's
Notice
pretty cool.
that on this list is not none.
Yeah. That's really good.
So part of that as well, that we kind of have to discuss if we take it, and if we take a couple of others, what exactly hooked on means, right? Because you're not trading in narcotics here, you're trading in propaganda, right? Journalism.
Yeah,
is it just
ideals,
is it
yeah.
like Ash says, is it just really good journalism, right?
Just really good propaganda.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I can't get enough of that
I like
propaganda.
I kind of
Really inspirational to just like yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm almost thinking about it like the, in Paranoia, like how there's this idea that like, if you have a communist journal, like, or whatever, like you're infected, the communism is in you now. It's like,
Okay, so
yeah.
it's like pervasive ideas, right? Like
yeah, like
your
people are kind of become committed to it, you know?
You got
They're
that, that really good fucking politics, right? People are just like, oh, can't get enough of that politics.
Hell yeah.
It's like a really good song that's really well orchestrated throughout many acts. It's like you've got these like hard 8 measures of like demagoguery, and then you smooth it out with like acts and stuff that's happening for the next 16 measures, and then you go back to like opinion pieces. Yeah.
The other thing I want to suggest, okay, like if we've kind of been kicked out or like estranged from the ink rakes, like we presume, and I assume, you know, the money that we have isn't gonna last forever. Do we need are we maybe printing like pulp novels or like serials or erotica or something, as well as like
We are.
like to actually bring in the dollars
somehow? Yeah.
I
mean,
I like
absolutely.
that.
probably.
I really like that.
Yeah, as we start, probably not, but I reckon that's gonna come down quick, right? Like you're gonna run out of money.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to print some Skovlander fanfic.
Yeah. All right, cool.
Something gonna really get their hearts racing.
Yeah,
This is actually something that I was thinking about for a while. Like, what else do we make in order to make money when things get hard?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just reading the comments. Subversive erotica.
Oh yeah. I like. Would you like some communism with your pornography? That's
That's like
peak.
what if that's what people know us for? Maybe that's why they're hooked on our news.
Maybe.
Because they keep like expecting weird shit to come up in your funny pages.
Yeah, that's a really interesting idea as well, because like you could start to slip in your subversive politics into like what else you're making, and okay, I like that. I like that. Let's keep it rolling.
Comments are great.
Chat, I love you. I love you, chat.
It's so good.
Wow.
I'm so glad I suggested that now.
This is this is definitely a thing. Okay, I'm just writing it down. I don't even care. Print erotic fiction. To make money. Sweet. Okay, so Melody, do you want to read out?
Yep.
Ghost
the next one.
Market?
Yeah. Sure thing. Ghost Market. Through arcane ritual or hard-won experience, you have discovered how to prepare your product for sale to ghosts and / or demons. They do not pay in coin. What do they pay with?
Okay, so
Pretty much useful for me, but not
But
really useful for the crew, I don't think.
it might be, depending on how you want to do it, right? Because like, I mean, this goes either way, right? Is it ghost or demon communists, or is it ghost or demon erotica fans, right? Like, what are we dealing with here, right?
It's demons.
Yeah,
Both is good.
Sick.
And Brandon's character won't let us spend the coin, so why are we making it to begin with?
So we have it. So
Yes,
things
so
don't
we
get
have it.
hard for us all the time.
So we can afford it endlessly.
So we can repair this hamster wheel friggin' printing press. And
So ghost
people don't
market's an
literally have to
interesting
lose their
Full gay
arms.
ghost communism. I love it.
Yeah, okay, so ghost market's an interesting one. I think that there is some interesting utility there, but I'm not feeling it too much at the beginning.
I feel like maybe it's a later on thing.
Yeah, I think so too.
For sure.
Okay, do you want to go, Alex, with High Society?
So High Society, it's all about who you know. Take -1 heat during downtime and 1. I don't know what D stands for there. To gather info about the cities you live.
So +1 D just means +1 die.
Die, right? Yeah.
Okay, so again, this is an interesting one, right? Like, I can see it being useful for you folks. Definitely useful, especially with your like connection to the ink rakes. But I mean, it's up to you. Do you feel like this is something that you have now, or is it aspirational?
I think
feel
it's
like that's aspirational.
Aspirational, yeah. I don't think we should start with something like that.
Yeah.
Especially it's coming like kind of like underground routes. I don't think it's quite appropriate.
Yeah, I don't I feel like not many of us, except maybe Levin's character, really that like
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, relevant to one particular character,
Yeah.
but not
Yeah.
to the characters in general. Yeah.
Hooked. Do you want to take that away, Brandon?
Okay. Hooked. Your gang members use your product. Add the savage, unreliable, or wild flaw to your gangs to give them +1 quality.
Okay.
You're not my boss. It says here in your newspaper, no one's my boss.
Yeah, that's what I'm feeling, right? Like,
It's like, why? Nope.
okay, so I'm keen on that one, but I really think that should be a down the line thing. Like, I feel like that should be a something that we start to see in like maybe a third schism might be like, and that's sort of what grows out of that. Yeah, all right. And then last one, patron. Do you want to take that, Lavender?
Patron. When you advance your tier, it costs half the coin it normally does. Who is your patron, and why do they help you?
Okay. How do you feel?
I feel like we don't take patron right now because I feel like that kind of defeats the point. Like we have to infect them with our mind virus first before we get like upper crust support.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not really feeling it.
I'm
kind
of leaning towards Silver Tongues.
Silver Tongues. Okay. Each PC may add +1 action rating. Yep. Okay. Yeah, I can see Silver Tongues. What does everyone think? Because like I feel like the good stuff was also like there was a lot of resonance there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I really like this good stuff.
Yeah. My first thought was, we're new, why would they be hooked on it? But we have been doing this for a while in some manifestation.
Right.
So we presumably have some
We're not new to
reputation.
this.
Yeah, okay, that's a good point. Yeah, let's go good stuff, that's fun.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, maybe that's why like this schism is happening. Like maybe the ink rakes are starting to be like, you're being a little bit too provocative, right? Like shit's going down, and you've been disseminating out your bullshit to everyone, and people are keen.
We kind of just went full provocative. We just kind of just went out there.
Respectability politics.
Yeah, you've just nope, screw it. This is what we're doing. We sell erotica and communist agitation. That's what we do. Yeah, I like it. I like it. All right, so do we want to tick the good stuff?
Yeah. Yes.
Alrighty, let's take it.
Yeah.
Okay, what is next? Assign crew upgrades. Your crew has 2 upgrades pre-selected. Choose 2 more. If your crew has a cohort, follow the procedure to create it. Record the faction status changes due to your upgrades. So the 2 upgrades you already have is what's here? You've got secure and training resolve. So I'll quickly read out what they mean on stream. Where is it, Hawkins? Whoops, I'm in the wrong spot. Where is just the general upgrades? That's right at the end of the section, right? No. Anyone know where it is?
I'm sorry, what are you looking for?
Crew upgrades.
Mm.
Oh, I've got it. I've got it here.
Okay.
So secure. Secure lair. Your lair has locks, alarms, and traps to thwart intruders. A second upgrade improves the defenses to include arcane meshes. And training just means that you have training upgrade. You earn 2 XP when you train a given XP track during downtime. So you're faster to train in resolve skills, resolve actions. These are the other ones now up on stream. and you can pick 2. Yeah. Have a look. What are you feeling?
I feel like, how do we not have quality documents? Between us being former ingrates and me being a like university student, how the hell do we just have like scoundrels info?
It's a good, yeah, okay.
I'd be up for that.
Quality document sounds good, if folks are keen on that.
Yeah.
So quality just means that it's tier, is it tier +1? Yeah. Oh, okay, so they count as fine. So
Yeah,
fine
sorry, instead of
documents,
just documents, it's fine documents? Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So where is that in quality documents? Awesome. So that's actually super powerful. Documents are, like they can be pretty much anything. And I think it kind of makes sense as well because you've got a printing press. Like, this would imply that you can print, like, and we're gonna have to figure this out, right? Because you've got a pretty crappy, broken printing press, but it is able to produce quality documents at the same time, right? So we can figure that out on how that works. Like maybe they look really scrappy, but maybe we're getting into that kind of like Duskwall riot girl like scene, like people
zines.
Yeah, you're the zine movement, right? In Duskwall, people just like they love that shit. Maybe.
Well, I don't think
I love that realness that we got.
Yeah.
What about for the other one? What about like Hawker's rigging? Is that one of the ones we can choose?
I think you can because it's special for Hawkers. Let's have a look here.
Because that's one carried item is concealed and doesn't take up load. So, like have items on us that are not like findable if someone's like searching us or whatever.
Okay. Yeah. How do people feel about that?
I really like that because that kind of gets us into like we can kind of do the smuggler thing a little bit because smugglers have their own kind of rigging where they can like perfectly conceal one of their items, and this conceals an item and makes it not count on our load. So I feel like that's really good for us. That helps us keep incriminating things secret.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. I like it. So, yeah, I mean, we should figure out as well, like, what that Hawker's rigging look like. Like, is that you sewing your pamphlets into the, hems of your clothes, or how does it look?
It's like when someone's got like Time magazine, and then inside that magazine is like Playboy.
That's just all it is. So all of the blue coats are just thick. Is that how it's working? They're just so easily bamboozled. I love it. Okay,
I also have another good idea.
Oh yeah,
which is getting a workshop.
I was thinking about a workshop.
All right.
So what is that?
Yeah. So a workshop.
Oh
let's
yeah,
have a
cool.
look.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Oh wow, that is very good.
Okay, so workshop. Your lair has a workshop appointed with tools for tinkering and alchemy, as well as a small library of books, documents, and maps. You may accomplish long-term projects with these assets without leaving your lair.
That would explain the quality documents. Above anything else.
Okay.
And like would also give us justification to get the rigging later on.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got 3 that we're thinking of. So, but you're thinking of going documents and workshop instead of the Hawker's rigging, or
That
should
sounds
we?
good to me.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think the rigging
makes
is
sense.
like the rigging makes us better at our job, but the workshop gives us more like narrative scope for doing like different kinds of things. So I think that's kind of interesting.
So we have to figure out from here. One faction helped you get the upgrade. You take +1 status with them, or you can spend 1 coin to get +2 status instead. And another faction was harmed when you got an upgrade. So you take -2 status with them, or spend 1 coin for only -1 status. The very obvious one here is that the workshop, you got -2 from the ink rakes, right? Like you piss them off, they've figured it out. If you spend that coin though, they haven't quite figured it out yet. They're only just angry at you because of your communism. But
yeah, and because we're having like in-office tensions and stuff like that.
But if you don't spend that coin, they probably know that you've taken something at least, and probably like, you know, a bunch of their books, maybe like some of their big like storage things that they're keeping all of like their documents and research and past issues and stuff like that in them. Maybe you've stolen some of that. Yeah.
Is anyone cool with not spending the coin?
So
I like the
that would
idea.
make-
I like the
mean,
idea of them knowing we've stolen something, and that kind of where the relationships with them start to break down.
Mm-hmm.
That be the tension point.
Yeah.
Yeah, people keen on that?
Yeah.
Sure.
Alrighty. So -2. And the other one, someone helped you get it. And this can also be secure and training resolve as well, right? Like, the book doesn't specifically say that, but I don't see why not, right? Like, if we want to say straight out of the gate, the Lost helped you find a warehouse, right? And that's where you get your secure from, or someone else helped you get a hold of those documents. Maybe you got someone like in the government, or even in the blue coats or something, right? Like, what are you feeling?
I'm interested in bringing in a third faction just to, because then it like means we have those 3 different avenues of like stuff happening. Because we've already got a connection to the Lost through the territory.
Okay. Yeah, I like it.
I'm not sure who that should be, but
Yeah. Does anyone have any like anything that's standing out to them?
Could that be a connection with one of the factions that is like for the power of the labor workers? Perhaps they were really inspired by what we wanted to do and helped us get that secure place.
Could
Does
be.
anyone have that kind of power?
Let's have a look. So it could be the Skovlander refugees, right? Like your position could be secure because the people of Coleridge know where it is and they're tight-lipped about it, right? Like they're not gonna do anything to betray you in that sort of way. We can just even have the citizenry of Coleridge as well. Like, everyone in Coleridge is aware of what's going on here. Or
which gives us kind of like an in.
Yeah, it could. I mean, one faction status. What kind of weight is 1? I believe it just means that they're like friends and they will help you when it doesn't specifically inconvenience them.
That's correct.
Yeah. So like, if they're just at 1, that means that the people of Coleridge are like, you know, happy to have you there, and they are like sort of keen on that. But at the same point in time, if they start getting their heads cracked in by the blue coats, they're gonna rat you out, right? Like, if you bump that up to 2 by spending a coin, then it's a lot more solid. What are people thinking?
How long do you think we've been here so far?
It's a good question.
Because I think we were talking about the fact that, like, the beginnings of the schism is the beginning of our campaign. So I think it's
Yeah.
fair that we're still trying to gain Coleridge's trust in that sense. So I don't think we should spend.
Yeah, no,
Mhm.
I'm leaning towards that
I
too.
mean, we probably, we probably are in a precarious position where, like, the people of Coleridge might know who we are because we've been on the street corner, but, like, they're not really loyal to us or anything.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Still,
Okay.
still very much grassroots. Still very much working our way there,
Then,
and not having that solid relationship. I think works better there.
then could I suggest instead going with, instead of you being friends with the people, we do that really like Cold War Stalinist kind of thing, and you have positive relationships with the Skovlan consulate. That the government of Skovlan in Duskwall
Yeah.
had, like, they're the ones who have given you the documents, right? Or
Yeah, I mean, they're, like, in favor of us because we're agitprop. We're doing
Yeah.
agitprop, basically.
Right,
Like,
the war's over.
Right.
The war's over, and peace has been maintained, and Skovlan, they're not gonna rebel again, but they're fine with Duskwall, exploding in a power keg, and then when the Empire's busy in Duskwall, then they'll rebel again, sort of thing, So,
Right.
I like that idea a lot.
I do
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it also gives us great moments where we can go into very richly appointed consulate buildings, and we can have the big picture on the back wall of Duskwall ghost Karl Marx. So it's okay. Do we want to do one for that, or do you want to spend a coin
Yeah,
and go
I think-
two?
I think so. I think so.
I feel like we're not, like, important enough yet to be more than one. Like,
No, I don't.
it's like,
definitely
it could easily go higher, but, like, we are a disposable asset.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think right now we're just something that's piqued their interest.
Yeah,
But,
Yeah.
I like it.
We're kind of like a minor investment for them at this point. They want to
Yeah.
see where we're going with it.
They've slipped you some of their, their good intelligence, but at the same point in time,
Yeah.
they're separate from you. If shit hits the fan, no, they're good. they're
Yeah.
treading
Yeah,
the
They want
line.
as much plausible deniability as
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so the next thing we do is we choose a favorite contact. So we mark one of our contacts down the side here as a close friend, a longtime ally, or a partner in crime. And then we record the faction status changes to that relate to that contact. So one faction is friendly with them, we get a +1, and one is unfriendly with them, and we get a -1. And at your option, you can increase the intensity of that to a +2 or a -2 if you want. So the contacts that we can choose from is Roland Watt, a magistrate, LaRose, a blue coat, Lydra, a deal broker, Hoxley, a smuggler, Anya, a dilettante. I can't say that word. Dilettante. Thank you.
Dilettante.
And Marlowe, a gang boss. Dilettante. Okay, I'll remember how to say that.
What do we need? Because I think we need a deal broker.
Yeah.
That's what I'm leaning towards right now.
Or we like a blue coat who can look the other direction is also like really useful.
Useful to us, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have strong feelings either way. I'd be happy either of them or something else.
I mean, a smuggler's also useful, right? Like,
Yeah.
you can get things in and out. Like you were talking about maybe being a smuggler yourself, but maybe you can offload that to someone else. As Luke says in the chat, blue coat with a communist sympathies. That's a classic. I mean, having a magistrate in your contacts list is a great thing. I really don't see, maybe Anya and Marlowe are like the two sort of ones that are the lower end of this. It's sort of more for drug dealer hawkers.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any strong feelings?
I mean, the deal breaker like sounds useful, but I don't know if it'd be. I don't think it'd give us like super interesting, kind of like something to work on in terms of a contact. But I could be wrong. Like, I kind of picture us as just showing up places rather than like sitting down and like or organizing a meeting with the local power people first.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The other thing is having a dilettante as one of our contacts gives us an in into the noble crowd who isn't like keeping a tight fist on their power. And stands
And
more
hey,
benefit
you're a
to
student.
have
You
the
probably
crowd.
know a bunch of other like former students. I mean, all the revolutionaries from Les Mis, they're all students. Like most of them anyway.
Mhm. Because the people I relate with are like all of the people who are actual Leviathan hunters are out at sea now, and all of my contacts who are actually still here are like these noble dilettantes who want to be fancy and want to talk,
Fair.
want to
Okay.
have parties.
Okay.
I like
yeah.
it. I like it.
I actually think I like that a lot now.
Yeah. All right. So we go with Anya. Is everyone keen on that?
Yeah.
Sweet. Awesome. And I'll just make a note that Anya is another member of the like the academics sort of background that thing going on. All right, cool.
Yeah.
And so we need to do a +1 status with someone and a -1 status with someone else. So we can again double up here. We can choose factions that we've already touched, or we can branch out. We've got 3 factions that we're like dealing with here: the Consulate, the Lost, and the Ink Rakes. But the Consulate and the Lost are both sort of like on your side, so so it might be a good idea to put your positive there, and then get another one who's like against you, if that's what you folks want to do.
It'd be cool to have an extra thing with the Lost.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see like a as Luke described them, like a bourgeoisie, like dilettante type, like having connections in a group like the Lost. Maybe they're the one who set us up with the Lost in the first place.
Oh yeah, I get you.
You know, they're the type. I picture them as the type who are like always hanging around slightly avant-garde salons and stuff, and like, oh yeah, I'm totally a revolutionary. Last week I was at a party with Bob and Larissa from The Lost, and
yeah, I dig it. Are folks keen on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And the thing I like
my
about
fun.
Anya is purely here to get woke points. So
It's
like
very performative.
siding with the Ink Rakes doesn't get her enough woke points, and she can get more woke points by siding with us.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like it. Okay.
Maximum woke.
Giga woke.
Like, I really imagine now, like, Anya is, this, like, very, like, pale white girl with dreadlocks.
Oh God.
Oh.
All right.
Who's constantly quoting, like, she knows the entire ideology by random quotes, but if you ask her to, like, genuinely define the nuts and bolts, she just freezes up for a moment.
Yeah. She can't do it.
Oh, I hate this character so much.
She's definitely on the Doskvol version of Tumblr.
And every time we need something from her, we just sigh very loudly. Decide where we need to go through this because we need her help. But jeez,
She's so
because she's well connected, right?
Yeah.
Okay, who doesn't like her? To the point where that you have negative faction status with them because they know you're connected to her.
Who did she piss off?
Yeah.
who among us is the most radical ideologically? Because I feel like it's me.
I think it's just more which faction doesn't like her, or I mean, like
Yeah, which faction? Yeah.
Because I feel like either you or me, Brandon, both of us probably don't like her very much necessarily, like without from her background and everything. But I assume she's Akarosi, like Duskwall native. But
Yeah, I think so. So, looking through the list of factions here, so we want to keep this game like pretty low scale, so we probably shouldn't bring in like the government sort of thing. But I just saw this one, the Weeping Lady, a charity and pseudo-religion honouring the first Lord Governor of Doskvol, Lady Devera, said to be a champion of the poor. And why I'm like latching onto that one is because that's sort of like honoring the nobility, right? But saying that the nobility, like all of our problems can be fixed by the nobility, doing what they're supposed to do by being noble. Yeah. Whereas you folks are standing there going, no, just fucking guillotine the nobility, right? So
moreover, the Weeping Lady is a charity, and what charities can often do sometimes is like perpetuate and justify why capitalism works, because
which is another.
And, I mean, especially in especially in oh, you go. Sorry.
I was just saying, that's another facet of us, having this debate about whose ideology or what kind of practices are more ideal. Because, we have very good reasons not to trust them and not to trust their overarching ideology. But can we really tell them to their face that they're not doing the right thing, etc., etc.?
It's also a strong... a charity like that actively works in favor, at least on the surface, works in favor of the poor. That's a really tough enemy to fight, right? Because they on the surface seem like they should be your allies, and the people who are downtrodden are right in their firing line. Like, they are able to agitate directly to the same people you're trying to agitate to with a completely opposite, opposing message. And also, all of those sympathetic rich folks that you might be able to convince, they're now looking at you going toe-to-toe with a charity, right?
And I mean, also, charities in this industrial revolution era in the real world were super condescending, oh, those poor people, let's put them in a Magdalene house or whatever, they were not very necessarily very nice or woke. But why did they like Anya though? Is I guess did she just snob them or something, or did she left them for us or something, or to hang out with our guys?
Good question.
Maybe it wasn't work enough.
Yep.
Maybe she saw through it.
Yeah, did she see?
Because you can see why she would be attracted to that idea.
Yeah.
Of that charity originally. And when she got to the grits of it, it's the one redeeming quality about her, where she was just kind of oh, actually. And
she totally threw a massive temper tantrum, and just publicly just had all the receipts, called everyone out, just made a big deal of it, because I get the impression she's probably she likes a bit of drama.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She just attracts that, yeah.
Like I said, Anya's only goal is to earn work points.
I have
she
to
had
write
to
that
do a
down.
scene about it. Yeah. I like her making a scene about the charity. I think that's really good.
I actually really like the idea that she made a scene and was absolutely positively wrong about every on the surface she had the right idea, but she kept referring to actual facts that were flat out lies. And called our name, so now we have to nod in the background.
Yeah, that's a really
so
shit
us
situation.
getting her support depends on us backing her up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why the fuck did you do this to us? Now we have to pretend that you were right.
Yeah, I like it.
Why did you say that they torture children? That's not true.
So yeah, I think that's solid for crew. We still need to come up with a name, but we can do that at a later date, or we can ruminate on it. Or if you've got anything cool now, throw it out there. Folks in
Hard
chat,
times.
Yeah. All right, you saw it. Folks in chat were suggesting Hard Times as the name of the newspaper, which I haven't been able to get Hard Times by Paramore out of my head for the last 3 weeks as well. Which,
It's a sign.
It's a little bit tonally off, but I'm all right with that being the theme song for this campaign.
Oh dear.
But yeah, if you folks wanna come up with a name, or if chat's got a good one for us, Luke's coming at us with the red letter.
I'm kind of split on the idea. I personally kind of feel like the name of the paper and the name of the crew are two completely two different but connected things.
Okay.
Okay.
So I like the idea of the paper being called Hard Times, but I don't think that says who we are yet.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Hard Times, and the crew is called something else. We don't know yet. And we don't need
And considerably less understated than the paper itself. The paper is beyond us.
I have a good name for what we are.
Yeah.
We're the Keeners.
That's cool.
I kind of like that.
Yeah. Like Keening. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just going to suggest a liberated People's Front of Judea kind of name.
I like the
But
Keener.
the Keeners is good.
It's slick. I think it's really slick.
Yeah.
And the Coleridge Keener would be a great newspaper name.
Yeah.
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 Oh yeah, so Hard Times is the the colloquial on the street. That's what people know it by. But the official title, printed on the top of it, the Coleridge Keener. I like it. All right, sweet. Okay, so that's crew. Let's sort out our characters. So step 4 is to assign 4 action dots around your sheet. So if everyone wants to get their own sheet open, because you're going to need to do some reading of your own abilities and stuff like that. So this is a bit of a personal thing going on here, but essentially you've got 4 dots to assign to your actions, and you can't make any of your actions go higher than 2 to begin with. And for folks who don't know too much about the system, the amount of dots that you've got in an action is the amount of dice that you start to roll with. If you've got 0, you roll 2 dice and take the lowest. The results are a 1 to 3 is a fail, a 4-5 is a success with a cost, and a 6 is a success. And that's further stratified down with position and effect and stuff like that, but briefly that's all you need to know. So having 1 die is already a good position to be in. It already means that you've got a 50% chance of success or failure, not taking into account anything else that's happening, like getting a die from somewhere else. And there are plenty of ways to get other dice. 0 dice is a pretty risky position to be in, though. That's not great, because you've got some bad odds. I can't remember the exact maths, but they're not good. So, what are you folks thinking? Down the side, as you can see, under Insight, Prowess, and Resolve, there's a line that cuts off the first column. So that your Insight is equal to the number of dots that you have in that first column. So here we can see Melody's Hound has 2 in Hunt, 1 in Survey, and 1 in Tinker, which means that her insight currently is 3. And those traits, those attributes are used to resist bad things happening. So the more you spread things out, the more likely you are to be able to resist lots of different types of things, but also it means the less focused you're going to be.
Yeah.
So Melody, it looks like you've already got yours. Do you want to tell us what 4 choices you took?
So my starting ones are 2 hunt and 1 survey. I've started placing the others. So I took Tinker for heritage, because the idea of being like, they were my character's family were probably like machinists or factory workers of some description. I took skirmish for being like, for background, like being a soldier for a long period of time, and prowl again because like, guerrilla warfare, all that kind of stuff. And so I've got 1 more point to spend. I'm not 100% sure where I wanted to put that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe we can see where everyone else is, and then sort of you can fill in a gap.
Sure.
That's a really good tactic.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got Lavender here. You've already filled out you filled out 3 of yours. No, all 4. Do you want to walk us through them?
Yes. So from being a spider, I got 1 dot in study and 2 dots in consort. For being a Voidsea shipwrecker, I took 1 in prowl, because I feel like I have to, like, there's all that stuff of like, ooh, do I pick prowl or do I pick finesse with that one?
Yeah.
See, I feel like in just like,
I was thinking prowl because I was more practical with some of my stuff. If you want to go with finesse, that would make more sense. I feel. Because you're kind of hold on.
Finesse is kind of like sleight of hand stuff, like that, right?
Yeah.
And,
and it could also be things like dancing.
I mean, that kind of stuff does seem to be more like in the wheelhouse of like a privileged, like, and comparatively like student type.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then also sneaking around like from dorm to dorm or whatever, like that.
Yeah.
Being generally athletic.
Yeah, totally.
So you're thinking finesse or prowl? What do you want to go
Oh,
with?
that's a hard choice.
Yeah.
I think I might go prowl actually.
Okay.
Because I think I want my character to be like very, very seductive and attractive. So like having like a very fit body like kind of fits into prowl, because prowling is a lot of swimming, it's running, it's climbing.
Yeah, Luke brings up a good point that wreck is literally in the name of shipwrecker, right? But so your character was more on like kind of.
I didn't wreck it. They were already wrecked.
You weren't a wrecker yourself, right? You were like a scavenger, right?
Yeah.
Or at least your family were scavengers.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. I didn't destroy anything.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
sadly, Blades is not the sort of game where you can creatively interpret what the action does by the name of the action. I made that mistake early on when I was playing Blades.
Oh no!
Don't make my mistake.
Well, when my game is ready to be play tested, we can get into that, but that's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are your other dots? Where'd you pop them? So we've got prowl from your background.
From Leviathan Hunter student turned tutor. Or no, I'm getting all of these mixed up. I'm getting mixed up between my 2 that I assigned from my heritage and background and the 2 that I assigned from my for free.
Okay.
Okay, I remember now. The thing that I actually applied from being a shipwrecker was my dot in a tune, because we were scavenging for weird artifacts.
Makes sense. Yep.
And also, I'm just a Dagger Islander in general and have to deal with ghosts.
Yeah.
Fair.
That's what I really did. being a tutor, I took a dot in command.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, fair.
That's
And the one we
makes
haven't
sense.
talked about yet is I took a dot in survey.
Okay. Cool.
That makes sense.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Nice. So next we have Brandon, your slide.
Mhm.
You've got yep.
So this is me like mostly trying to make sense of the things that I have. When it came to heritage, I thought it would be interesting to take one dot in finesse. Essentially, like the justification I had for that being that Skovlan does, especially when you are like lower middle class or lower, you kind of rely on pickpocketing to get by.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like my character kind of picked that up in their youth, just randomly developing that kind of quality of just going in people's pockets and taking whatever they had.
Is it kind of
and-
like instinctual, like sort of you're near people and you just start taking things from them, sort of thing?
I think it got to the point where it became instinctual. That they spent a lot of time when they were very young trying to teach themselves how to do this. That like they're constantly practicing. Like at this point they don't even really care. It just happens. They're not legitimately trying to steal from anybody. Their hands are just constantly practicing.
I like it. Cool.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Like I like the idea of like stepping out of a room several minutes later and going, where the fuck did this bracelet come from?
Well, I guess that's fine now.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Background is kind of harder to justify. I'm still trying to figure out what trade their parents were in. My go-to is either that they were booksellers or bakers, and I don't know why. So I have no idea what that really lends itself to. But if they were booksellers, I feel like either survey or study would make a kind of sense, and I defaulted to survey because I like the idea that like they were very good when they were very young at looking at people and going, I know exactly what you're here for. I know what you like. I know what you're interested in. And that kind of took shape into they can look at somebody in general and know what kind of person they are, like get a good sense of what their intentions are.
I like it. Okay.
That's so good.
And then I took another point in finesse because that's how good they are at this point. And I took a command because I thought it would be useful to have a slight opportunity to like ask people to do things with more force than finesse.
And slide comes with 1 in consort and 2 in sway, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Cool.
I just clarifying the 1 dot in consort was missing, and I put it back.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah, I opened the slide sheet and I was like, there's supposed to be 3 dots here, and I wasn't sure. I thought I had made a mistake, so I just wanted to make that clear that it wasn't there, and it's there now.
Okay. Well. No worries. Cool. And last we have Alex's whisper.
Yes. So I filled in mine already. So I wanted to avoid taking any sort of like, apart from, attune, which obviously makes sense, and that's where my default one's belong because I connect to the ghost. I wanted to avoid putting it into command or sort of sway. I think I'm quite a pushover kind of a character. Like apart from Ghost, who I've got a really solid relationship with, I think I'm just terrible at asserting any sort of things with humans. I let that job to you guys. So I wanted to avoid that. So instead, I've kind of invested my points into things that make sense for my background. So I put one in Tinker, just because I worked in a factory and probably very good with tools. I was forced to be. I put one on Survey because I just feel like that's relevant to me being observational back home, and then coming into a new country, just always observing things, always learning. An extra one into Study. Again, wanting to be an aspiring academic, kind of looking up to Lavender's character. I think kind of wanted to invest a lot in that. And I put one in Prowl. I didn't want to put it in Finesse because I didn't think I didn't have that kind of background of pickpocketing and stealing things, but I thought that I still wanted to be very athletic because I've got that kind of worker class background and scavenging, etc. So I kind of put the other one into Prowl.
I'm very I'm liking this group because you're very cerebral, but most folks have Prowl in some some way. You're a cerebral yet athletic group, right? I'm getting this cool kind of mental image of running over rooftops, fistfuls of newspapers, right? That kind of thing going on.
Just deliver it the best way we can.
Right. But there's very little combat in here, so you're gonna be, if you get into a scrap, this is gonna be an interesting one, right?
Interesting.
Yeah. And I kind of like that. I like us being absolutely awful at combat because we hide behind our words, not our fists.
So Melody, you had one outstanding, right?
Yeah, so I like Luke's suggestion of taking a tune, but I just it doesn't feel right for the character. So what I'm a bit kind of stuck because I guess I was thinking about why my character would have ended up working with you all, unless I have some kind of consort or sway kind of stuff, some ability to as a writer or as just as an agitator or something along those lines, and that would be how I kind of ended up in this group. But yeah, I don't know. What do people think?
Can I make a suggestion? I don't know if this is sway or tinker, to be honest, but what if you steered into being more of a Tolstoy kind of post-soldier poet, right?
Oh yeah.
That kind of
cool.
why you were picked up. You didn't join. You were picked up into the group because of your writing, right?
Cool.
Right.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm just gonna have a quick look at Tinker. Then,
I don't know which one it would be.
Yeah.
It might not be a scoundrel action.
That's true. It might not be.
True. Because the other thing I was thinking was consort is a possibility, and possibly I was the connection to the consulate.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
And maybe at between the ending of the war and this, maybe I have acted on their behalf, or in some way, shape, or form. Because one of the contacts I can choose is a spy.
Yeah.
So that's tricky.
People in chat are suggesting sway.
Yeah. I think sway is probably. I think sway is probably a useful one and an interesting one to have. I want to have at least one in those social things, so I'll go with that.
Sure.
I can still see that playing into if you do want to go down that spy route.
Oh, totally.
That. Yeah, that's a really nice. That's a really nice way to move into this space. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So that's everyone's action dots. Next, everyone chooses a special ability. So,
I've chosen mine.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, so whilst you tell us yours, everyone else figure yours out because there's a lot to go through. So we'll have everyone focus on their own for now.
Sure.
So yeah, what's your What's your?
So after looking through them, a lot of them felt like not sort of appropriate for my character, but I thought it might be interesting to go with Iron Will, only because I like the idea of my character just being totally resistant to ghost bullshit. Just totally resistant. Like, they suck with humans, but they're really good with ghosts, and ghosts don't scare them. So they've grown up with that background of having ghosts all around them, and Duskwall ghosts ain't got nothing on the ghosts back home, right? And that does sort of cover a lot of my characters, because they don't really, apart from the attune, they don't have a lot in resolve. So this kind of backs them up just a little bit from the supernatural,
Okay.
I feel.
Cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. That makes a lot of sense to me. I like that. What is? Has anyone else come up with an idea?
I think I already have my special ability picked
Okay.
out. Just because I like it and it's very simple. I chose like looking into a mirror. It says you can always tell when someone is lying to you. Which is one very straightforward. I don't need to do any math, which is good.
That's also that's a beautiful one because you could just be like, are they lying?
Yeah, like I just, but I also just like the idea of therefore having my character like open interactions by asking them personal or kind of loaded questions and seeing what I have to do after I've gained information from that.
Yeah, I like it. Perfect. It's also a very good thing for a journalist to have.
Right?
Lavender or Melody, have you figured out yours?
I'm tossing up between two or actually three. So one is sharpshooter. You can push yourself to do one of the following. Make a ranged attack at extreme distance beyond what's normal for the weapon, or unleash a barrage of rapid fire to suppress the enemy. Just because I kind of like the idea of like sitting there on the street corner being like the lookout and, you know, just pulling a pistol out and like taking someone out at range.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Or tough as nails, penalties from harm are one level less severe. Or vengeful, you gain an additional XP trigger. You got payback against someone who harmed you or someone you care about. If your crew helps you get payback, also mark crew XP. Just because that's fun, like, and you know, I've got some. I lived through 36 years of war. I've got some shit to work out.
Who would be the target? Is the target of that like the Duskwall nobility? Like, is that what we're doing here? Or
I mean, I'm not sure. Yeah, because it could also apply to people who do something to harm us in game. Like, I think it's just anyone who's harmed me or someone I care about. Rather than it necessarily being
a single target.
A specific person at the beginning, but a specific person. Like,
okay.
Yeah. So,
I don't know. I do think sharpshooter is probably a really good one still. I like the idea of sharpshooter being the reason you kind of pull it through. You were just really good. You were just really, really good with your weapon.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that is pretty cool. I guess it's like
helps us being miserable at combat too.
Yeah, true.
Which we all
like,
know about it.
Yeah, okay. I like being like the token combat person. It's, I'll go with that. I guess it does mean that, like, by taking that, I'm kind of indicating that that's a thing that I'm going to be using.
Yeah,
it's like shooting people at range. So as long as people are okay with that, like, that's because that sends the game in a specific direction.
So our source material has us there's a specific story of vans driving up to newsstands and then just suddenly gunning people down from them and doing like really violent acts in the Chicago Circulation War. So right at the beginning, sharpshooter, we might not be getting into too many scraps, but I'm sure we can figure out a way for you to employ your talents. But I think that this is a war, right? Like this is and it's going to become a bloody war eventually. We know that. Cool. All right.
Cool.
So,
we need someone in the back of the van with the Tommy gun.
Yes.
And it's not
Cool. Yeah, I'll take that.
Hired gun. Yeah.
Cool. Cool.
Cool.
And last we have Lavender Spider.
I haven't the faintest idea what I want. Not seeing anything that really fits.
Okay, that's fine. If you don't have like a strong idea now, you can always like choose before we have our next session. It's 2 weeks away, so so if nothing's like jumping out at you right now, yeah, do you want to leave it and ruminate on that, or it's up to you?
Yeah.
I mean, also, can you just take one from another class straight from the beginning?
Yeah,
Yeah, you can.
you
Yeah.
can. I was looking over like all of the ones, and I'm not finding anything.
Uh-huh.
That's my dilemma.
Mm. Okay,
I'm
no
just not
worries.
quite
Yeah.
finding, because like there's only one that's like a really good learning one, and that's Analyst from the Leech. And I don't know. I've already done a spider that had Analyst. Kind of want to
Right.
do something else.
Mhm.
I might talk with Ben and you all about like maybe like hacking in a special ability and taking that as a better in advance, and then like I can pay whatever price that I need to for that, or we can arrange that however way.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll just think about it.
Yeah, no worries.
Leave it for later.
Okay, well then we move on to the next one, which is choose a close friend and rival. So you mark one who is a close friend, a long-term ally, family relation, or lover, the upward pointing triangle, and then you mark one who is a rival, enemy, scorned, lover, betrayed, partner, etc., the downward pointing. Has anyone already figured theirs out?
What's a sentinel?
Inside your one, a sentinel. I don't know. I don't believe it is specifically
Sentinel.
called out in the book.
Is it ghost related? I'm pretty sure.
I don't know.
Is it?
Sentinel.
So luckily, in the book, there are descriptions of these friends.
Oh,
Celine,
yes.
a sentinel. Celine is a guardian, a protector. Who does she watch over?
Oh, okay, so it's a general thing. I'm assuming sentinel was like a specific thing.
oh.
No,
Right. Okay. Cool. Okay, that's. Well, I'm definitely taking Belarus a spy as my friend, just because that's going to be fun.
Okay. And these, like, so as Lavender pointed out, there are questions that go along with this. Again, we don't need to answer these now. I reckon we should find them out in play when you want to like drop a character into a scene, and then we'll ask them then.
Cool.
So do you know who you're going to go as your rival or enemy?
I'm going to take Celine.
All right, cool. A sentinel.
I'm not sure who she or what she's protecting. I've got some thoughts. Like maybe like we mentioned my character's view, like trying to stop me from finding them, or like because I'm caught up in all this bullshit and they're just trying to have a quiet life, or like try to protect me from myself, or any number of things, you know.
I dig it. Yeah.
So I've got some ideas, but yeah.
Okay. Cool. I'm keen to see them in play. Okay. Anyone else come up with your contacts?
Yeah.
Alrighty. Let's have a look here. All right. Walk me through.
Good idea.
Yeah, so I don't have the description of the friends
That's
with me.
Yeah.
But from what I see, I would think that having the spirit trafficker as a friend would be super useful for me. I think having someone to get in and out, like ghosts, and to meet all these people and make new contacts with them is incredibly useful for ghost journalism, TM. I'm not really sure about like any of the other characters. I'm not really feeling a possessor ghost would be someone I would get along with. Mainly because I think I would be pretty staunch in like ghosts and humans being separate, so someone who was like breaking those boundaries would probably really piss me off.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Yeah, so for now, I'm going to sort of get hesitant rivalry with this Possessor Ghost, and very, very good mates with Phil. So,
Excellent. All right, I dig it. Just so I know, can you folks hear that rain? Is that coming through the mic?
Like a tiny bit.
Not really.
Excellent.
I've got heavy rain on my side. Can anyone hear the heavy rain on my side?
No, because it is incredibly loud. Like I'm having trouble
Yeah,
hearing
I
you
got that
folks.
before too. I just heard
Yeah.
it pouring down, and I was like, "Oh no, I hope my noise gate's okay."
So I'm glad it's not coming through. I'll just try and hear you, but I mean I don't know why I got closer. It's in my headphones. So anyway, do you have any idea about your contacts, Brandon or Lavender?
I think I do.
Okay, yeah, let's
Go first.
Oh, this is interesting. Okay. Walk us through.
Are we talking to me?
Yeah, we're talking to you, Brandon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I figured that I would be very good friends with Nyrix
Okay.
because I like sex. Like that's it. Like that's
Okay.
that's my only motivation.
Yeah.
I like sex a lot. I imagine that my character will take it however they can get it, but Nyrix is their favorite, so they go to the red lamp often.
Okay.
Um,
So this
and
is interesting.
Things
Yeah.
happen.
So your close contact is the same as Alex's rival. So that's going to be cool. We're going to see how that plays out in on screen. That's going to be awesome.
Ah, so they are like the same person.
Well, they've got the same name, and I've always loved that they are the same person because I also I'm very into the idea of a possessor ghost also being like involved in like the life of a sex worker, and like I would love to see
Right, yeah.
how that works because like possessor ghosts aren't parasitic in the same way that vampires are. Like they
Right.
sort of live alongside the person, kind of like
It's like a symbiotic thing.
yeah, like a symbiote.
Right.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Sort of mutual relationship.
Yeah.
Huh.
So
This suddenly became
think my character
easier than I
despises that.
expected.
yeah, it's going to be interesting. And I can also see you've got Harker. Walk us through that. What are you thinking?
Yes, what I was thinking about that was that my like primary motivation against this person is simply that at some point they did something that seriously injured one of my parents.
Mm.
And I don't know what it is yet. Like they probably tried to rob our place or mug my father one night as he was coming back home or something like that. I'm not sure what it is yet, but I know that that happened and that I've been bearing that grudge since I was a child
Okay.
because I was there and saw his face.
Mm.
Hmm.
Alrighty. Okay.
Yeah.
I reckon we're gonna, and I'm feeling that they're a bit of like a Coleridge local sort of thing. Is that what we're going with?
Mhm.
Like they're going to be someone that we bump into. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
Like I'm interested in seeing what happens if we need his help, but I don't want to have to ask for it.
mm,
Hmm.
okay. And then last, Lavender, walk us through.
Hmm. Now, this one I do have very, very solid ideas about.
Sure.
My uptick, my close friend is Ribbon a chemist.
Mm-hmm.
Simply because we went to the same classes together. He's a chemist, so he's probably like a Sparkrite or something, or like works for the Sparkrites. Because like he probably like invented a popular catalyst that they use to like conduct electroplasm. He does really good work. Sally, on the other hand, is squarely in the fingertips of the ink rakes. So when we count the people who are going to be flippable, Sally will definitely not be one of them. Sally is against us, and I already know it.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Oh, I could make this more interesting. Salia is like an agitator who's like
Actively
turned
working
against
against us?
yeah.
Like, actively trying to, really calm our reputation back there. I,
Yeah, I
like, I
mean,
was
there's-
thinking that when you mentioned her back, when
Yeah.
like her story.
There's presumably like there's a within the Incrakes there's like a group that is like the specific people who like we are against, because Incrakes is a pretty broad category.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's people in there that we still get along with, people that we hate, and there's like
Yeah.
all sorts of varied in betweens.
Yeah.
And she specifically is one out to get us.
I like it. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
It also gives us like another face to put, not necessarily in the Incrakes, but like affiliated definitely with, and probably like among their like middle ranks sort of thing. That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so just a little bit of stream maintenance. We have gone over time by 20 minutes already. And we've got 2 more steps, but I'm thinking, first of all, to save time and also to have a cooler entrance into our first session, we're going to skip step 8 for now. I reckon step 8 should be done off screen, and then we will introduce our characters and have your look and your alias and all of that come out like straight up first scene.
Yeah.
Cool.
As sort of like that intro thing.
Works for me.
But for now, let's just define the vice. And again, I think we will figure out our vice purveyor off screen, because I have some ideas for that.
Oh, cool.
Ooh.
So let's start with Melody. Do you have an idea for your vice?
Yeah, so I'm not super sure. Like, my first thought was where is it? Was Stupor, because it's a classic and thing there. But I'm not sure. Like, I'm open to other more out there ideas if anyone has anything that comes to mind specifically. Yeah.
If I take a step back, am I looking at a list of devices somewhere? Is this something we create?
Oh,
Yeah.
Get lost here.
This is on your sheet. So you've
Right.
got the vices that you can pick from are faith, gambling, luxury, obligation, pleasure, stupor, or weird.
Okay.
There is a section in the rulebook itself, like on each one, but
Yeah, I see.
really they are as they appear on the tin, sort of thing. So this is what your character does during downtime to like relieve their stress, and this is going to be a way for them to like be self-destructive and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, Melody, the only thing that comes to mind, other than stupor, is you were saying that your family was displaced and all of that. Like the only thing that comes to mind is you've found like one or some of them, right? Like you've found a small pocket, or even of your people, right? Like you've found a group of Skovs who were from the same village you were from, or something along those lines. And so you've got that obligation to them.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. That'd be cool. I like that. And or even like, there's I can imagine like in this kind of dense like Coleridge like kind of largely refugee or like Skov community, like there's going to be tight kind of ties of like oh, we were from the same town, like you owe me one, and like we'll help each other out, like and that kind of stuff. I mean that sounds really cool.
Okay, cool. So yeah, we can figure the specifics out of that, but we've got obligation down there. Does anyone else have a idea jumping out of them? Alex? Yeah? What you got?
For me, the most obvious and cliche choice would be the weird one. I feel like as a whisper, I'm going to because I think I'm very good at communicating with ghosts. I think I got there for a reason. I think the reason is I have very like specific rituals on how to engage with them, how to disengage, like turn 3 times and look at a certain direction, and having to do like really specific actions to initiate my like communication with them. And I think that the more I kind of get involved and obsessed with that, the more kind of like all these obsessions will kind of form from that. And I might be very destructive to even just doing simple tasks, I think.
There's an interesting part of that because like you've got a bit of Fae stuff going on there, right? With like your specific patterns and rituals. I wonder how they're different here than from where you came from, right? Like, because Duskwall is an old and corrupt city, right? Like, so I'm keen to explore some of that that like hyper ritualistic behavior. That's gonna be cool.
It'll feel very out of place.
All right, so Lavender or Brandon, do you have an idea?
I want to pick a vice that someone else has so that I can do that vice with them and then get the bonus die for having a friend or contact along.
Nice.
No worries. Okay. So
Considering my vice, jeez.
what's your vice?
And I want my vice to come up on screen. I want you to literally open my page and read that line on screen.
Yeah, there we go. Pleasure, sex, oh god, lots of sex. So Lavender, the floor is open to you. Whose vice do you piggyback onto?
What was Melody's again?
Obligation. To like we are going to flesh out the details, but like to a community or a group or something possibly. So like if your character, I mean like Luke, like said your character is a bit Marius earlier, I think, from Les Mis. Like maybe you do like feel like you have to serve the community or the people or something, run a soup kitchen or something like that. I don't know. That's one idea. The thing with obligation is that it's a great vice, but it's like not as funny and fun as like a lot of the others.
So what are you thinking, Lavender?
I don't want to share a vice with my family member because we already have like a connection there. Although I think like if they got into it, they would really get into it. Just like for right now at the beginning of the game, I think we should weave the web a little tighter.
I mean, is there something like I'm happy to change mine as well, and that like, and is there something that you have in mind, like?
One of the ones that I was tossing over when I was thinking of just like picking one for myself was a luxury.
Okay. And did you have a specific thought? Like because luxury is pretty broad.
Getting involved in like scenes of people, like listening to music.
Yeah, I don't know if my character would super be
Exactly.
Yeah. But like pleasure can be like gratification from food, drink, art, theater, etc. Like
That's true.
Were you thinking about a poet before?
Yeah.
Because that could come under pleasure, like the pleasure of the arts, kind of like
exactly,
that like escapism from what you experienced.
Yeah, totally. I'd be up for like some kind of art kind of pleasure or something.
It's like
theater or art or poetry or
It's this very extreme, different side of you that you really take gratification in.
Yeah.
At one point, you're this like really old war veteran with like incredible military skills, but you just love theater. You just love the written word. You've got like that's why you
love
got into this
theater.
group.
It's so good.
You have this extra layer of wanting to be with this group. You feel
We should
inspired by
both
us
be-
too.
We should both be writers together.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
Pleasure,
cool.
Schadenfreude from going to a writing critique circle.
Yeah, I dig it.
Yeah.
Cool, awesome. All right. Well, as I say, we'll figure out the last few details of our characters. But I think we're done, right? We got through character creation. We've got a good idea of who everyone's going to be, and I've got a really cool image in my mind of our starting incident, right? It's going to be good. I'm very excited.
Yeah.
So are we.
Yeah, I'm very keen on this group, and I'm glad you're all keen with me. Let's do shout outs and say good. Well, for me, say good night.
Same here.
Yeah. Alex, do you want to start us
It's 8
off?
in the morning over here.
Oof. All right. Say
I know.
good morning.
What are we doing? Shout outs?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So let's start with Lavender. And you'll pick up what this cadence is.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Dark Lavender Void. I make a game called Mortally Bankrupt, which is a game where you play reality TV stars who are watched by eldritch horrors who are played by chat. I am ready to play test more of that game and get it going everywhere because I've been working on it for a very long time and I love it to death.
Excellent. Thank you.
That's me.
Melody.
Hey, I'm Melody. You can find me. What I do is I write, I play games, I make games. I have too many things going on at any one time. I sometimes appear on streams like this one or SEGX stream. I also, funnily enough, do make erotica, except mostly involving photos instead of text. You can find me on Twitter at Magic Space Girl. Or on Instagram at Miss Melody Nova, and my website is melodynova.press.com.
Cool. Thank you. Brandon, do you want to go?
Hi, I'm Brandon. You can find me on almost everything that exists at The Rising Tides, TheRisingTithes. I am the poetry editor of a magazine called Fire, a magazine of black speculative fiction. I also write science fiction and fantasy prose and poetry. I'm working on a serial novel right now being published by Broken Eye Books called How to Unmake It in Anglia, about a detective solving the crime of why short stories exist. And I'm also designing my own game right now called Sound Clash, where people form rock bands and use magic to destroy capitalist superstructures.
That sounds so good.
Oh yeah.
Right? Thank you very much.
And Alex, you got the cadence?
Yeah.
Sweet.
So
All right.
I'm Alex. You can find me on Twitter at Silvios, which I think is written somewhere here. And I also do a lot of things like a community mode for a lot of gaming discords. I do stream infrequently on Twitch here, like on my user handle JJam. I am currently working on a project, a kind of game project relating to what it's like being in a magical human society and juggling work and part-time things. So it's like an interactive novel.
Nice.
And yeah, that's about me.
Awesome, thank you. I am Ben Sherry. I'm found everywhere on the internet as Ben Sherry, usually one word, except for Twitter, where it's an underscore in between. I'm a game designer, and I am currently working on a game called All Shall Fade, which is and I'm sorry, Luke, that I'm going to be dropping a lot of genres here, and I know you don't like that, but it is a gothic, cosmic horror, sword and sandals, dark fantasy game, where you play as criminals, the worst that humanity has to offer. exiled down into the depths of the awful hell dimension of the dungeon because the surface is no longer inhabitable. You can find that on my Patreon, which is patreon.com/redworldpress. And you can find a bunch of my other games on Drive-Thru and Itch.io under the same name. Thank you for coming, everyone, and I hope you enjoyed this stream, and I hope to see you in 2 weeks' time. We'll be playing our first session Thursday, same time, in 2 weeks from now. All right, thank you, and
Thank you.
and thank you for coming, everyone. Bye.
Thanks for having us.